I call Phil Twyford.
Well, there goes the next generation of the Blue-Greens. My advice, Nikki Kay, is that if you want to burnish your credentials, Nikki Kay, in Auckland Central with the Liberal voters of that electorate, I suggest that you don't go around claiming to be a member of the Blue-Greens too much, because, sir, after this bill passes the House, your reputation, Nikki Kay, your reputation as an environmentalist and a Liberal is not going to be looking all that crash hot. I wouldn't go around admitting to the fact that you're a member of the Blue-Greens. Mr Speaker, in 1970, that great American Liberal, Richard Milhous Nixon, set up the American Environmental Protection Agency in response to the growing concern about the pressures on America's natural environment. And for many years, the American EPA has been the standard bearer for active government in protection of the environment. Now, the EPA is not perfect, sir, but at least it knows what it's there for. At least it has clear goals and objectives. And I want to just read the House the goals of the EPA that are set out in its empowering legislation. Goal number 1, clean air and global climate change, to protect and improve the air so it's healthy to breathe and risks to human health and the environment are reduced. Goal 2, clean and safe water. Ensure that the drinking water is safe. Restore and maintain the oceans, the watersheds and their ecosystems. Goal 3, land preservation and restoration. Goal 4, healthy communities and ecosystems. Goal 5, compliance and environmental stewardship. It's all there, sir. The American EPA, which is a real EPA, knows what its job is. It has clear tasks and clear goals. And by contrast, sir, this Environmental Protection Authority being established by the Honourable Nick Smith is a sham, and I don't know why he wants it to be called an Environmental Protection Authority, because it's not fundamentally about environmental protection. As the bill is currently worded, sir, the objective of the EPA is to undertake its functions in a way that, 1, contributes to the efficient, effective and transparent management of New Zealand's environment and natural resources, and 2, enables New Zealand to meet its international obligations. There is nothing in the fundamentals of this bill, sir, that makes it clear to the public and to the nation that the purpose of this EPA is environmental protection. It is a sham. Minister, there is something missing in the heart of this bill, and it's called environmental protection, and it's called integrity. Mr Speaker, I want to comment on Rahui Kātane's speech, where she talked about a triumph for the Māori Party and a triumph for environmental protection. She claimed that she had successfully negotiated the treaty clause that we see on the table, inserted into this bill by SOP. But, sir, I contend that this is not, in fact, a treaty clause. It doesn't deserve to be called a treaty clause. In fact, it diminishes the treaty because it states that the advisory body that this clause sets up, which is a sham, it states that that advisory committee is meeting the Crown's treaty obligations. Ms Kātane told the House that she'd been overwhelmed by congratulatory emails. Well, I suggest that she checks her email filter, because sitting in the junk folder when she gets back to her office, she'll probably find dozens and dozens of emails telling her what a sellout this treaty clause is. And it's very clear, sir, that the Māori Party has become the party of advisory committees. They got done over by Rodney Hayden Act on the Auckland Council and denied democratically elected Māori seats. And what did they get? An unelected statutory board that has brought into contempt in Auckland the whole notion of special governance provisions for Māori, and they claim credit for that. I suppose that's a triumph too, is it? What this so-called treaty clause does is that it waters down the treaty obligation and it devalues the currency. And the Māori Party is so keen to claim victory and to claim credit, they are willing to devalue the currency of treaty obligations in New Zealand law. The second part of that clause, which is about complying with the treaty clauses in other environmental legislation, is hardly a triumph either. The parties were always bound by the treaty clauses in other legislation. This particular clause adds nothing to that situation. That, sir, is a sham, and I think it shows a great deal of chutzpah of the Māori Party to be claiming credit and claiming that this is a triumph. They should be, in fact, embarrassed by it. Sir, we voted for this bill at the first reading because we thought that the stated intent of this Environmental Protection Authority would be to provide leadership in the whole area of environmental regulation. We thought that was worth supporting. But even then, sir, we had suspicions that it was a kind of Trojan horse, dressed up for all the world like a comprehensive environmental regulator, but in fact a closer look reveals that it is mainly designed to fast-track existing controversial projects. And even during the gestation period of the EPA, while we've seen a handful of staff in the Ministry of Environment, the Environmental Protection Authority has already been used to fast-track controversial projects. This, in fact, is the real purpose. This is the real agenda of the so-called balanced growth philosophy of this government. That they've already used the EPA to fast-track the Waterview connection, and as we've seen, as we've pointed out in this debate time and time again, the time frames were compressed. Local communities have been denied a fair say in the process. The EPA has deliberately ignored the requests of both the Auckland Council and the local board to extend submission deadlines. We're seeing the same thing happening in regard to Transmission Gully, where the EPA is being used to circumvent the regional freshwater plan. And now, again, the whole fast-tracking agenda is underway with regard to the private prison at Wiri in South Auckland. This EPA, sir, is consistent with the environmental record of this government, and there are too many examples to name in this debate, but I will give you a few of them. They've watered down Labour's world-leading ETS. They've added billions to the taxpayers' bill for carbon emissions and let big polluters off the hook, and that is a fact. They've failed to adopt real environmental standards, and we've seen, as Brendan Burns pointed out earlier, with regard to the National Policy Statement on Water, that they've watered that down and failed to provide proper accountability for polluters. Sir, I want to just summarise in closing the key objections that Labor has about this bill, that the objectives don't even include environmental protection. The functions are too narrow, they are piecemeal, and the legislation actually confuses the environmental legislation, sir. And finally, the EPA's decision-making is not sufficiently independent. It lacks credibility, and far too much power is put in the hands of the minister. Sir, the Māori name for the EPA is Te Mana Rohi Taiao, which translates as to protect the mana of the environment. This bill and its provisions most certainly do not protect the mana of the environment. The name is a sham and it should be replaced. This bill, sir, is the spawn of the Blue Greens, the National Party's in-house environmental lobby that Nick Smith has so keenly fostered. Well, what a disappointment this bill must be to that minister. What a disappointment the Blue Greens must be as his great political project. The bill is a profound disappointment for anyone who cares about cleaning up and protecting our natural environment for future generations. The bill is final proof, sir, that the Blue Greens are an oxymoron.
Point of order, Keith Locke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to, I seek leave to correct an accidental mistake that the Green Party made in voting on an SOP on this bill yesterday, Rahul Kartani's SOP to include the new section 3A Treaty of Waitangi to Tiriti of Waitangi to part 1 of the bill. The Green Party accidentally voted 9 votes in the negative when the intention was to vote 9 votes in the positive, the affirmative, and similarly a mistake was made in the proxy votes for Chris Carter and Hone Harawira.
Leave has sought to correct that vote. Is there any objection? There is no objection. The leave has been given. The new vote is the ayes are 72, the noes are 48, and the record will be altered accordingly. Dr. Cam Calder.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.